First contact gone wrong. The void between stars held secrets, but Captain Elena Rodriguez never expected to find one quite like this. The HMS Defiant, Earth's first Titan-class battleship, drifted silently through the darkness of the Carina Nebula, its quantum sensors picking up an anomalous signal that shouldn't exist this far from civilized space. Signal analysis complete, Captain, Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported from her station, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. It's definitely a distress beacon, but the encryption, it's like nothing in our database. Elena leaned forward in her command chair, studying the swirling purple gases of the nebula through the bridge's panoramic viewport. After 5 years of deep space exploration, the Defiant had encountered plenty of mysteries, but something about this one made her skin prickle. How old? That's the strange part, Sarah replied, fingers dancing through the holographic interface. The signal's degrading suggests it's been broadcasting for at least 3 months, but the technology, it's centuries ahead of anything we've ever seen. The bridge fell silent save for the soft hum of the ship's antimatter core. Humanity had spread across dozens of star systems in the past century, but they'd never encountered another spacefaring civilization. The possibility that this might be first contact weighed heavily on Elena's mind. Captain, the ship's AI, Arya, interrupted her thoughts. I'm detecting a massive energy surge at the edge of our sensor range. Something's coming out of FTL. Before Elena could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. A ship emerged from the rift, if you could call it a ship. The vessel was organic and crystalline at the same time, its hull flowing like liquid metal yet faceted like a diamond. It was at least 3 times the size of the Defiant, which was already over a kilometer long. Multiple smaller craft launching, reported Commander James Walker, the weapons officer. His hands hovered over the tactical controls. They're moving to surround us. Elena straightened in her chair. Shields up. Open a channel on all frequencies. The alien vessel's response was immediate. A beam of energy lanced out from one of its crystalline spines, not at the Defiant, but at the source of the distress signal. The beam connected with something they couldn't see, and suddenly a ship flickered into view, a smaller vessel with elegant, flowing lines that spoke of advanced technology. The ship was cloaked, Sarah gasped. Some kind of stealth field. A harsh, grating voice filled the bridge. This is Executor Vexthal of the Vexery Empire. The criminals you have detected are now under our jurisdiction. Withdraw immediately or face obliteration. Elena's jaw tightened. The criminals were broadcasting a distress signal, and her gut told her there was more to this situation than the Vexery were letting on. This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earth ship Defiant. We responded to a distress call in neutral space. Under galactic common law. Your primitive species has no standing under imperial law, the executor cut her off. You will withdraw or be destroyed. You have 30 seconds to comply. Through the viewport, Elena could see the smaller ship trying to maneuver away from the Vexery vessel's energy beam. Its engines flared weakly, but the beam seemed to be draining its power. Captain, Arya's voice was urgent. I'm detecting life signs on the smaller vessel. Multiple species, including several juveniles. Their power systems are failing. Without intervention, their life support will crash in approximately 10 minutes. Elena had heard enough. Mr. Walker, target the Vexery's energy beam emitter. Lieutenant Chen, calculate an FTL microjump to put us between them and the civilian ship. Arya, prepare to extend our shields around the smaller vessel. Captain, Walker warned, their technology is far advanced. If we engage. They're about to learn that humanity doesn't appreciate bullies, Elena cut him off. Execute. The Defiant vanished in a flash of quantum displacement, reappearing instantly between the Vexery and their prey. Before the alien ship could react, Walker's targeting algorithms had already found their mark. A concentrated burst from the Defiant's particle cannons sheared through the energy beam emitter with surgical precision. Impossible. The executor's voice boomed. Your weapons cannot. Can't what? Elena interrupted. Pierce your supposedly superior technology. You'll find humanity has a few surprises. Now, you will stand down, or I'll demonstrate what else this primitive ship can do. The Vexery responded with a full barrage. Energy beams and exotic particles streaked toward the Defiant, but they splashed harmlessly against its shields. What the aliens didn't know was that humanity had reverse-engineered similar weapons from ancient ruins found on Mars. The Defiant's defensive systems had been specific all. Well, Elena thought as she watched the Etherian survivors materialize in the Defiant's emergency reception bay, they were about to learn. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for the stars, developing technologies and strategies that combined the best of their scientific knowledge with their greatest strength, the ability to think creatively and act decisively. The Vexery might have an empire, but they had just made a serious mistake. They had threatened human beings, attempted to bully them, and worst of all, they had destroyed an entire civilization of peaceful scientists. If there was one thing history had taught humanity, it was this: tyrants eventually fall, and often it's because they underestimated those they considered beneath them. As the last of the Etherians were brought aboard, Elena opened a channel to Earth Command. This would be a very interesting report to write, and humanity had some preparations to make. The galaxy had just become a much more complicated place, but if the Vexery thought humanity would bow down before their empire, they were in for a rude awakening. The HMS Defiant turned away from the disabled Vexery vessel, its engines pulsing with controlled power. They had survivors to care for, information to gather, and a very important warning to deliver to Earth. Humanity's age of peaceful exploration had just ended, but perhaps that wasn't entirely a bad thing. Sometimes it took a challenge to show what humans were truly capable of. They had built their ships to explore the stars, but they had armed them because they weren't naive. Now, it seemed, that wisdom would serve them well. The galaxy needed heroes, and humanity had spent its entire history preparing for just such a role, whether they knew it or not. The hidden truth. 3 days after the encounter with the Vexery, Captain Elena Rodriguez stood in the Defiant's main laboratory, watching as holographic star charts filled the air around her. Dr. Lyra, the lead Etherian scientist, moved her crystalline hands through the display, leaving trails of light in their wake. We discovered these beacons scattered across what you call the Carina Nebula, Lyra explained, her voice carrying the musical quality characteristic of her species. Her translucent form seemed to shimmer under the lab's lights. They were left by the predecessors, a species that vanished over 50,000 years ago. Elena studied the pattern of markers spreading across the nebula. And these beacons, they were warnings about the Vexery? Not initially. Lyra's expression darkened, the bioluminescent patterns beneath her crystalline skin pulsing with anxiety. The beacons were an archive, recording the rise and fall of civilizations. But over the past millennium, they've documented something far more disturbing: the systematic destruction of every emerging spacefaring race in this sector of the galaxy. Commander Walker, who had joined them for the briefing, crossed his arms. By the Vexery? Yes. Lyra activated another hologram, showing the familiar crystalline ships of the Vexery fleet. They call it preservation through prevention. Their doctrine states that only they are worthy of advanced technology. Any civilization that shows signs of developing faster-than-light travel or quantum mechanics is eliminated. Elena felt her fists clench. Like your people. We were fortunate, in a way. Lyra's voice wavered. Our research into phase-shifting technology allowed some of us to hide our most important facilities. When the Vexery attacked, they believed they had destroyed everything. But they missed our Deep Space Academy. We've been running ever since, trying to warn others. The lab's door hissed open as Lieutenant Chen entered, carrying a data tablet. Captain, you need to see this. We've finished analyzing the Vexery weapon signatures from the battle. There's something strange about their technology. Sarah handed the tablet to Elena, who studied the readings with growing surprise. This can't be right. These energy patterns, they're similar to the artifacts we found in the Mars ruins. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. It's like they're using the same basic principles, but their understanding is incomplete. They're brute-forcing technology they don't fully comprehend. Lyra moved closer, her crystalline form casting prismatic patterns on the tablet's surface. The predecessor's technology. We found evidence that the Vexari discovered one of their storage facilities centuries ago. They've been using it to maintain their technological superiority, but they treat it like a religion, never questioning, never truly understanding, only following prescribed patterns. But humanity did question, Walker interjected. When we found the Mars ruins, we didn't just copy the technology. We studied it, understood it, improved it. Elena looked up from the tablet, her mind racing with possibilities. That's why our shields held against their weapons. We're not just using the technology, we understand the principles behind it. There's more, Lyra said, her voice taking on an urgent tone. The Etherian Academy wasn't just a research facility. We were part of a hidden network of scientists from different species, all working to understand the predecessor's true legacy. We believe they didn't vanish, they evolved beyond physical form. And they left their technology not as weapons, but as tools to unite worthy species. The implications hit Elena like a physical force. That's why they're so afraid. It's not just about maintaining control, they're afraid of species that might understand the technology better than they do. Correct. Lyra's bioluminescence pulsed brighter. And now they've encountered humanity, a species that not only understands the principles behind predecessor technology but has already begun to improve upon it. You represent everything they fear. Commander Walker moved to the tactical display, bringing up readings from their battle with the Vexari ship. Then we need to use that fear. The Defiant proved their technology isn't invincible. If we can share our understanding with other surviving species, we could build a coalition, Elena finished. Not just to fight the Vexari, but to fulfill the predecessor's true intention, uniting species through understanding and innovation. Lyra's form seemed to brighten with hope. There are others like us, hidden, scattered, but waiting for a chance to fight back. The Marians in the Pleiades Cluster, the Corvan Defense League, the Tau Scientific Collective, all victims of Vexari aggression, all with pieces of the puzzle. Elena straightened, decision made. Lieutenant Chen, send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we need every ship we can spare. Commander Walker, begin adapting our defensive systems based on the Etherian data, I want us ready for the next encounter. She turned to Lyra. Doctor, we'll need coordinates for any survivors you know of. Humanity is joining this fight, but we're not doing it alone. The Vexari think they're preserving the galaxy by preventing advancement. We'll show them that real preservation comes through cooperation and understanding. As the others moved to their tasks, Elena studied the holographic map of beacons. Each point of light represented not just a warning, but a possibility, a chance to build something greater than any single species could achieve alone. The Vexari had spent centuries using fear to keep others down. Now they would learn what happened when their victims stood together, led by a species that had spent its entire history overcoming limitations through innovation and determination. The game was changing. The Vexari thought they were facing just another primitive species. Instead, they had awakened humanity's greatest strengths, the ability to unite others, to think beyond established limits, and to turn understanding into power. The galaxy was about to learn why you should never underestimate humans, especially humans with a cause worth fighting for. The turning point. Red alert klaxons wailed through the HMS Defiance corridors as the massive battleship emerged from quantum space, leading a flotilla of Earth's most advanced vessels. Before them, the Vexari assault fleet hung against the backdrop of humanity's largest colony world, New Eden. 17 capital ships, Commander Walker reported, his voice tight. They've already breached the outer defense grid. Captain Elena Rodriguez gripped her command chair as tactical data streamed across her neural interface. The past month had been a blur of preparation and adaptation. The Etherian scientists had worked tirelessly with Earth's engineers, merging their understanding of predecessor technology with human innovation. Now it was time to see if it would be enough. All ships, battle formation Delta, Elena commanded. Deploy the new quantum shields. Let's show them what happens when you threaten a human world. The Defiance enhanced systems hummed to life, protective fields shimmering with a new iridescent pattern, the result of Etherian crystal technology merged with human quantum engineering. Across the fleet, other ships activated similar defenses. Vexery fleet is responding, Lieutenant Chen reported. They're launching their primary weapon systems, same configuration as before. Elena allowed herself a grim smile. Just as we expected. They never adapt, do they? Arya, initiate Protocol Prometheus. The AI's voice resonated through the bridge. Protocol Prometheus active. Quantum resonance fields aligned. Ready on your mark, Captain. The Vexery energy beams lanced out, more powerful than in their previous encounter. But instead of impacting the shields, they encountered something new, a quantum resonance field that didn't just absorb their energy, but redirected it. By the stars, Dr. Lyra breathed from her advisory station. It's actually working. The redirected energy coursed through specially designed conduits in the human ships, amplified by Etherian crystals and human quantum technology. The Vexery weapons, instead of destroying their targets, were about to power humanity's counterattack. All ships, Elena commanded, execute Prometheus strike. The combined fleet released the stored energy in a synchronized burst. The attack wasn't just powerful, it was precisely calibrated to the frequency of Vexery shields, a weakness discovered through careful study of their religious adherence to unchanging predecessor technology. 3 Vexery capital ships disappeared in blinding flashes as their own energy, turned against them, overwhelmed their defensive systems. The remaining ships attempted to regroup, but their rigid battle doctrine hadn't prepared them for this kind of adaptation. They're falling back to secondary positions, Walker reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. Their formation is breaking down. Elena leaned forward. Launch the Fireflies. From the human fleet's hangars emerged swarms of small, unmanned craft, another innovation born from the human-Etherian collaboration. Each carried a miniaturized version of the quantum resonance technology, able to slip through the gaps in Vexery shields. Admiral Vexthal is hailing us, Chen announced. The harsh voice of the Vexery commander filled the bridge. What sorcery is this? You cannot possibly understand these technologies. That's where you're wrong, Elena replied calmly. We don't just use technology, we understand it, improve it, make it our own. Your empire has spent centuries copying the predecessors without comprehension. Humanity spent decades learning, questioning, and innovating. As she spoke, the Fireflies were doing their work. Where they attached to Vexery ships, crystalline growths began to spread, Etherian technology merged with human nanoengineering, disrupting the enemy's systems from within. This is impossible, the Admiral raged. We are the chosen guardians. We alone are worthy of the predecessors' gifts. The predecessors didn't leave their legacy to be hoarded, Elena countered. They left it to unite species ready to understand and grow. Your empire is built on fear and stagnation. Look around you. This is what happens when you face a species that embraces change. The battle continued for another hour, but the outcome was already decided. The Vexery fleet, faced with weapons and tactics they couldn't comprehend, much less counter, was forced into a humiliating retreat. 7 of their capital ships were lost, the rest damaged or disabled. As the last enemy ships fled into quantum space, Elena opened a channel to all human and allied vessels. This victory belongs to all of us, human determination and innovation combined with Etherian wisdom. But it's only the beginning. The Vexery will return, and they'll bring everything they have. She paused, looking at the faces of her crew, human and alien working together in perfect harmony. But when they do, they'll find something they've never faced before, species united not by fear, but by understanding. Not by force, but by choice. They thought they could prevent advancement by keeping species afraid and isolated. Instead, they've created exactly what the predecessors intended, a coalition of races ready to share knowledge and face challenges together. Dr. Lyra's crystalline form seemed to glow with pride. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions from other resistance groups across the sector. Word of this victory is spreading." Elena nodded. The Vexery had ruled through fear and technological superiority. Now both weapons had been turned against them. Their rigid doctrine had never prepared them for an enemy that could not only match their technology but improve upon it. As repair crews began their work and medical ships attended to the wounded, Elena knew this was more than just a military victory. It was proof that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons, it was their ability to unite others, to think beyond established limits, and to turn understanding into progress. The Vexery Empire had spent centuries ensuring no species could challenge them. They never imagined their greatest threat would come not from a single powerful race, but from one that could bring others together, that could take ancient technology and make it something new. The battle for New Eden was over, but the real war was just beginning. And thanks to human ingenuity and determination, for the first time in centuries, the oppressed species of the galaxy had something they'd almost forgotten: hope. Rise of the Alliance. 6 months after the Battle of New Eden, the HMS Defiance conference room had become a symbol of something unprecedented in the galaxy: true cooperation between species. Around the holographic tactical display stood representatives from a dozen different civilizations, each brought together by humanity's stand against the Vexery Empire. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched as Admiral Marcus Chen, her former lieutenant now promoted to lead Earth's expanded fleet, outlined their latest strategic victory. The hologram showed a Vexery supply line in flames, thanks to tactics developed by combining Marian stealth technology with human precision strikes. "The Empire's grip is weakening," Marcus reported. 3 more systems have openly joined the Alliance this week alone. The Vexery can't maintain their control when their supposed technological superiority keeps failing them. Colvir, the towering representative of the Corvan Defense League, rumbled in agreement. His species' crystalline armor glinted under the room's lights. Their response remains predictable. They still deploy the same formations, the same strategies. Even after 6 months of defeats, they refuse to adapt. "That's their greatest weakness," Elena noted, stepping forward. "Their entire society is built around the idea that the predecessor's technology is perfect, unchangeable. Every innovation we introduce disrupts not just their military, but their entire worldview." Dr. Lyra, now the head of the Alliance's research division, manipulated the hologram to show their latest breakthrough. "We've completed integration of tau quantum mechanics with human AI systems. The resulting hybrid technology allows us to predict Vexery fleet movements with 93% accuracy." The success of the Alliance had surprised even its founders. Humanity's approach to technology in warfare had proven to be the catalyst needed to unite species that had spent centuries hiding from Vexery oppression. Each race brought their own innovations, their own understanding of predecessor technology, and humans helped weave it all together into something new. "We're receiving more defectors," reported Senna, the Serpentine Marian intelligence chief. "Lower-ranked Vexery who've begun to question their empire's dogma. The latest group brought invaluable data about their central world's defenses." Elena studied the updated strategic display. The Vexery Empire, once thought invincible, was showing cracks. Their response to each defeat had become increasingly desperate. "They're massing for something big. Our intelligence suggests they're stripping defenses from their core systems for one massive counterattack." "Let them come," Colvir declared. "Each battle proves what we can achieve together. The Corvan fleets stand ready." The alliance had grown far beyond what anyone had imagined possible 6 months ago. Humanity's victories had inspired others to emerge from hiding, bringing their own unique contributions to the fight. The Marians provided stealth technology and intelligence networks. The Corvin brought their massive industrial capacity and warrior tradition. The Tau contributed their advanced quantum physics understanding. And the Etherians' deep knowledge of crystal technology had revolutionized their combined capabilities. But it was humanity's gift for innovation and adaptation that bound it all together. Where the Vexery saw technology as unchangeable doctrine, humans saw possibilities. Where the Empire demanded submission, the Alliance offered partnership. "There's something else," Elena added, her expression serious. "Our deep space probes have detected unusual energy signatures from several predecessor beacons. They're becoming more active, responding to our combined use of their technology. I believe we're approaching something the predecessors intended all along." Dr. Lyra's crystalline form pulsed with excitement. "The patterns match ancient prophecies found in multiple species records. The predecessors didn't just leave their technology as a test, they left it as a path. When enough species learn to truly understand and use it together, we break through to the next level of existence." Admiral Chen asked skeptically. "Perhaps," Lyra replied. "Or perhaps we simply prove ourselves ready for whatever they left waiting for us. The Vexery's greatest crime wasn't their oppression, it was preventing this unity from happening naturally." Elena moved to the center of the room, looking at each representative in turn. "Whatever the predecessors intended, we've already achieved something unprecedented. Look around this room. A year ago, most of your species had never met. Now we're not just allies, we're innovating together, learning from each other, creating technologies none of us could have developed alone." The room hummed with agreement. The Alliance wasn't just a military coalition, it was proof that different species could work together, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities to create something greater than the sum of its parts. "The Vexery's final attack is coming," Elena continued. "They'll throw everything they have at us because we represent everything they fear: change, adaptation, cooperation. But that's exactly why they'll fail. They fight to keep the galaxy in stasis. We fight for the right to grow, to learn, to become more than we are." As the meeting concluded and the representatives moved to their various tasks, Elena remained at the tactical display. The Alliance's fleet movements showed a galaxy awakening, species emerging from centuries of fear to stand together. Humanity had dreamed of finding others among the stars. Instead, they'd found something better, the chance to help forge a true galactic community. The Vexery Empire had spent centuries ensuring no single species could challenge them. They never considered that their greatest nightmare would be species working together, taking the predecessors' gifts and transforming them into something new. They thought they were preserving the galaxy. Instead, they had united it against them. Liberation. The massive fleet hung in the void above the Vexery homeworld, thousands of ships representing every species in the Alliance. At its heart, the HMS Defiant led the formation, its hull gleaming with the integrated technologies of a dozen civilizations working in harmony. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on her bridge, watching as the final pieces fell into place. A year of battles, innovations, and sacrifices had led to this moment. The Vexery Empire had launched their desperate final offensive against the Alliance, leaving their core worlds vulnerable, exactly as planned. "All fleet elements report ready," Admiral Chen's hologram announced from his command ship. "The Marian stealth squadrons are in position. Corvin heavy units standing by. Tau quantum arrays online." Elena nodded, feeling the weight of history. "And our special package?" Dr. Lyra, now her permanent science officer, looked up from her crystalline control interface. "The merged consciousness network is stable. Every ship in the fleet is linked through the hybrid human-Etherian AI system. We're as ready as we'll ever be." The advancement had been their greatest breakthrough yet, human artificial intelligence merged with Etherian crystal consciousness technology, allowing entire fleets to act with perfect coordination while still maintaining individual initiative. It was something the Vexeri, with their rigid adherence to unchanging doctrine, could never have conceived. Multiple contacts, Commander Walker announced. The Vexeri home fleet is moving to engage. 5,000 ships and counting. Elena took a deep breath. Open a channel to all Alliance vessels. When she spoke, her words reached every ship, every species that had joined their cause. A year ago, humanity made first contact with the galaxy's greatest oppressors. We found a universe where innovation was crushed, where species were kept isolated and afraid. The Vexeri claimed they were preserving civilization by preventing advancement. She paused, watching as the enemy fleet approached. But look at us now. Humans, Etherians, Corvans, Marians, Tau, and dozens more, all working together, all contributing our unique strengths to forge something new. We've taken the predecessors' gifts and made them our own, not through blind worship, but through understanding and innovation. The Vexeri fleet entered weapons range, their crystalline ships forming the same rigid patterns they'd used for centuries. All ships, initiate synthesis protocol, Elena commanded. Across the Alliance fleet, the merged consciousness network activated. Each species' unique technologies and tactical approaches began working in perfect harmony. Marian stealth fields wrapped around Corvan warships. Tau quantum matrices enhanced human targeting systems. Etherian crystal tech amplified everything. The Vexeri struck first, their energy weapons lashing out in predictable patterns. But the Alliance fleet moved like a living thing, each ship anticipating and supporting the others. Attacks that should have devastated their formation were absorbed, redirected, and turned back against their sources. They're trying to adapt, Walker reported with surprise. Some of their ships are attempting new formations. Too little, too late, Elena replied. Execute final phase. From the darkness of space, hundreds of automated probes activated, the latest evolution of the Firefly drones that had proved so effective at New Eden. But these carried something new, a hybrid virus born from human programming and Etherian crystal engineering. As the probes attached to Vexeri ships, they didn't just disable systems, they began rewriting them. Centuries of rigid technological doctrine began to crack as ships' computers were forced to accept new possibilities, new ways of thinking. Energy spike. Lyra called out. The predecessor beacons, they're all activating at once. Across the battlefield, ancient warning beacons long dormant burst to life. Streams of energy connected them, forming a vast network that enveloped both fleets. In that moment, Elena understood, this had been the predecessor's plan all along. Not to test individual species, but to forge connections between them. The Vexeri fleet faltered as their own ships began to transform, the hybrid virus showing them visions of what was possible when technology was understood, not just copied. Many crews, seeing their beliefs crumble, simply surrendered. Others, the more fanatical, tried to fight on but found their weapons refusing to fire on Alliance ships. We're receiving transmissions from the surface, Chen reported. The Vexeri civilian government, they're requesting terms of surrender. Elena nodded. Tell them our terms are simple, join us. Not as subjects, but as equals. It's time for their species to stop preserving and start growing. As the battle ended and the dust settled, the predecessor beacons continued their strange dance. The energy network they created seemed to be changing the very fabric of space around them, opening doorways to somewhere else. The predecessors weren't gone, Lyra whispered in awe. They were waiting. Waiting for us to prove we could work together, to show we were ready for what comes next. Elena looked around her bridge, human, Etherian, and other species working in perfect harmony. Then let's not keep them waiting. The real journey is just beginning. The liberation of the galaxy from Vexeri oppression marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as conquerors or subjects, but as catalysts, the species that showed others how to take ancient gifts and forge them into something new. The predecessor beacons had opened a door to humanity's next great adventure. But more importantly, they had helped create something unique in the galaxy's history, a true alliance of species, each contributing their strengths, each growing stronger together than they ever could have been alone. As the HMS Defiant led the fleet toward the mysterious quantum gateways, Elena knew that whatever waited on the other side, humanity and their allies would face it the same way they had faced the Vexery, with innovation, determination, and most importantly, together. The end, or perhaps, the beginning.